I'm from Waterbury, Connecticut. I was raised in a town called Oakville, Connecticut, which is a really kind of small place. My father was from a town called Fort Fairfield in Maine, which he grew up on a potato farm. My mother is first generation Italian American. So I think growing up at a place like Connecticut, in such a small town, with, a first generation Italian American mother and a father whose family kind of lived off the land, it made sense. I don't know if it made sense to go into a food world, but it definitely made sense for me to move away as quickly as I could. And food was probably the first opportunity that I could have utilized, I guess, to get away. Yeah, the whole Italian American stuff. It was very cool. My grandmother used to make cavatelli fresh, the Sunday 2 o'clock in the afternoon Sunday meals, and big pot of meatballs and sausage on the stove. Felt like all the time. Grabbing a piece of bread and kind of dunking it into the sauce. It was a big part of my life. But on my father's side of the family, it was interesting because we would drive up to Maine on holidays, and Thanksgiving especially, because it's such an American holiday, and we would have huge, these great feasts of all this American food and mincemeat pies and pumpkin pies and all the stuff that I would never get with my Italian side of the family. So it was a great kind of balance between the two, which I really believe in, the romantic idea of all things food. I think that had a major impact on my status with food. I was a fat kid. I think that's, yeah, definitely. I was a fat kid. I took my first classes when I was 11. I always kind of liked being in a kitchen. I had the opportunity to take a class when I was 11 years old. I took it, and then I went to a vocational school, and I actually wanted to be a plumber. I had this small period of time where I figured plumbing was the life for me. And I couldn't get into the program, so as a second choice, I chose culinary arts. And it's funny, kind of divine intervention. It's actually somewhat, knock on wood, it's worked out. It's worked out so far. Alto was the idea for Alto, especially with the name Alto meaning top, and definitely taking the two schools of thought with Italian food. One was cucina rustica, which is the very rustic style kitchen, which seems to be the one that everybody loves. And then there's the alta cucina, which is the high-end kind of aristocratic style kitchen, which, despite what anyone would say, I'm a big believer that it's still making headway in New York. I mean, there's Fiamma with Fabio, and Michael White at Alto is doing wonderful things, and obviously Del Posto with Mark Latner and Mario and Lydia. All things Joe Bastianich as well, making headway. San Domenico's still 20 years in business now. They're looking for a new property, and that's, there's a lot of things that are still emerging. So I really saw that as an opportunity to kind of raise the bar and really create a technique-driven cuisine that was still as soulful as one would close their eyes and imagine in the romantic idea of what Italian food is. So that was my intention. Let's put it that way.